Happy Facebook Live time. It's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, my Facebook Live time for every week. I'm Melissa Kerman with Melissa's Crafting Treehouse. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the U.S. and I've been a demonstrator for 17 years plus. Yay! I love what I do and I love sharing crafts with all of you out there in the crafting world. Hi Tina. I see people joining in. Yay. So I took last week off and it was a much needed break. My husband and younger daughter and I went to West Virginia to visit my older daughter, and it was a great change of scenery. I don't know about you guys, but I've been mostly here at my house for so many weeks now, actually bleeding into months. So it was just a really nice departure, and I actually got to relax a little bit, and it was wonderful. Now we went to a very rural place, so we were not near really any other human beings for the most part. Hi Pam, hi Gail, I see people joining. I know I missed some names flashing by while I chatter away here. But anyway, it was a wonderful weekend, so thanks for, well, I don't know, maybe you didn't miss me. Thanks for allowing me to take a break. Hi Bonnie, hi Christy, yay. Anyway, it was wonderful. Did a lot of walking, playing games, had lots of giggles and laughter. It was wonderful. Hi Catherine, good to see you here. So anyway, I'm happy to be here. I've got some very quick announcements and then just basic little reminders. And then I've got some folios I want to share with you today. I shared a folio that I made with my team some weeks back, and several people have asked me to share the details of that. So I decided to do that and take one step further and show you a couple of variations as well, and kind of give you an opportunity to create your own if you wanted. And I think I just saw Pam go by. Who was that? I'm missing names anyway. Going too fast for me to catch it. Yes, nothing like family time. It's so true. I said in my newsletter, I had a few moments of just sheer and utter, laughter to the point of, sort of falling over, peeing your pants kind of laughter, which is rare, but just so much fun when that happens. I don't even remember what I was laughing about, but I was laughing and everybody else around was laughing. So it was just really hysterical. Anyway, family time is good. So the quick announcement, it's already July 23rd today. We got just about a week left of the month, and what that means is 1 week left for bonus days. So when you spend $50, for each $50 you spend, you get a $5 coupon to spend starting August 4th. So you can actually you can earn them through August 3rd. So it's a little bit more than a week that you have left to earn those. And let's see what else. The mini catalog is going live on the 4th as well. My product shares, the pre-order period ends August 3rd, so that's all coming pretty quick. I can't believe the new catalog's almost here. Excuse me. So anyway, that's coming down the pike, but pretty quiet on the business front, at least as far as the updates. And let's see what else. I am doing an early bird promotion for my product shares. Now I'm giving away the coupons that I've earned, the $5 coupons that I've earned. But as of now, they are all spoken for if all the people that have reserved shares actually pay for their shares by July 30th. So if anybody doesn't, then whoever's next on the list, whoever reserved their shares next, you will get those coupons. But at the moment they are spoken for. They went pretty fast, and I think I had about 12 of them. Not too bad. So anyway, let's see, moving right along. Okay, so the project for today. So I'm going to show you one folio that is like super simple. It's like you can kick it out in a second pretty much. And the other two are a little bit more complicated, but none of them are very complicated. And they'll have cards or some kind of something to write on in the inside, so they can be given as a gift. So I'm going to turn the camera down and show you what I got. The first project, before I turn down, is going to be made with this Borders Abound stamp set, which I am pretty sure, based upon the search that I did today, is going to be a hidden gem, in my opinion. I couldn't find a whole lot of anything online, samples of it. I just wanted to see what was out there, preparing for my post. So anyway, I hope you enjoy what I'm going to share with you today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera down. All right, so as you probably would have guessed, yes, I'm going to be scoring to create my little folio. So I've got a piece of cardstock here that measures 8.5 by 10 3/8, so not quite a full sheet of cardstock. And I'm just going to do a couple of score lines. Now, I'm going to start with what will end up being the pocket, scoring at 2 3/8 inches. And then I'm going to score at 5 inches and 5 3/8 inches. And that is all of my scoring, believe it or not. So I'm going to set that aside for a second. I'll be bringing that scoring tool back in just a bit. But I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish my score lines. Now, I made a project like this with my club members a couple years back. I'll show it to you in a bit. It was a fall-themed card. A fall-themed folio. And it was just a fun, simple project with postcards inside instead of traditional cards. So this is going to be pretty thin, but that's kind of your basic body. So this is, because I scored at 5 and 5 3/8, it's a 3/8 inch binding there. So you can adjust this as you wish. And there's plenty of room here to actually make it a little bit wider if you want. But there is no, excuse me, there's no depth to the bottom, and that's what makes this so simple. So there's literally no adhering at all to making this particular folio. Now, I did a fun front element to this folio, which I'm going to show you. And I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus because I've used this Borders Abound with my Stamparatus to create a bit of a pattern. Now for this one, I'm going to use the snow-themed one. So there's a stamp in this for each season. So of course this is the winter-themed one. And go figure, I'm actually, thinking winter in the heat of the summer. Maybe it makes the heat a little bit easier. I don't know about it, if it is for you guys, but I have this running joke where I look out the window and it looks so pretty, and it's 80, 90 and humid, but it looks so pretty, so I can pretend that it's actually pretty out. Can you tell I'm not a heat lover? Anyway, so this paper here is watercolor paper, and I have lined it up in such a way that I can create a pattern on the front. Now I'm going to be using Versamark and my embossing buddy, and I have set it up in a particular spot on my Stamparatus so that I can get the pattern that I want without starting up too high with my stamp, because if your stamp bumps up too close to the spine or too close to the spine here, it can just not get as clean a stamped image. So I'm going to use my Versamark. I used my embossing buddy, my anti-static. If you're not familiar with what that is, it just makes sure that your embossing powder doesn't stick where it doesn't belong. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp, and then I'm just trying to be real careful that it doesn't move if I can help it. And now I'm going to move it down one more. Keep doing this until I've filled up the whole thing. Now I could have done these, in a straight line so it was parallel to the edge of the cardstock, but I wanted it at an angle to give it a little bit more of an interesting look. So this is Versamark. It's a clear ink, so as you can tell, it's kind of hard to even see what I'm doing. But once I heat emboss it and do the next steps, you'll be able to see it better. So now I'm going to move it down one more. And now I have to move my magnet. And I cross my fingers, make sure that cardstock doesn't move. Try to be careful in how I do it. Do the last one. So now the whole thing's going to get filled up with my images. Versamark is a clear sticky ink. So now I can put it into my embossing powder. But because I didn't want to have to make a whole lot of noise on camera, I put it in embossing powder and then I heated it. And guess what? It's done on the back. Yay. So I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you see the shininess? So I put white embossing powder on there, and then I heated it in this pattern. And now comes the real fun. I'm going to take my paper towel, and I'm using these new water pens. I think they're called water pens. They replaced what was in the catalog called aqua painters, and there's actually 3 different tips. This is actually the first real playing I've done with these. So it's got a nice fat one, and the next one down is just is smaller, more pointy, but it's fairly big. And then the last one is this tiny, tiny tip, which I just love. So I played with all 3 of these to do the next thing I'm going to show you. So I'm going to grab a lid, an old lid from an accessory, and my Pacific Point re-inker. Just going to put a little droplet in there. And I want to make sure that this whole surface is wet. So I need my spray bottle, which is hidden back here. I had to look for that for a sec. Okay, so I'm going to spray this good and so it's good and wet. And then I'm going to use my big fat brush to just move the water around, make sure that it's nice and wet. And again, this is going to be the front of my folio. So then I'm just going to grab some of my ink, and there's my images, they're there, and just begin coloring. And I want to have some darker areas and some lighter areas, but now you can really see the image, right? And you could use more than one color if you wanted. So there's a spot on here, it says push, and that's, of course, you can squeeze out the excess liquid, or squeeze liquid out so you can get the excess ink out, rather. And I want to do that just so that I can get some lighter elements in the center, but still have color. Now I did one others of these, one that's finished, which I'm going to show you. And I did that one with one of the other images and with more than one color. But I thought it would be really fun to show these snowflake swirlies on camera. So there's what I got so far, and of course that's got to dry. I might mess with it more, use a lighter color in the spaces in between, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. Call that one done, and then I'll show you the ones that I have, the one that I have finished. All right. So for the other ones, I use these other 2 brushes, and I'll just explain how I did it. Actually, maybe I'll do a little bit on here. So I'm going to grab my ink again, squeeze out a little water on this fine tip one, and this one is fabulous if you want to get the tiniest little spot, it's a little wet there, a little darker. So I'm just going to go onto the snowflake itself, added quite a bit of water there, and I want the snowflake to just show up a little darker, give it an accent. See how the color's bleeding out. I love watercolor paper. I can just squeeze water right on there and dab it off if it's too much. Anyway, you can see how that fine point allows me to really control where I'm putting it. Now, on some of the other images, I actually colored in the details. So let me show you those. Got to get that wet stuff out of the way. So here is my finished folio. This is the one that I did. It's all dry, but you can see I used two different colors here. The Pretty Peacock, which is what's also in behind my focal piece there, and Garden Green. So I kind of did bands of each of those two colors. And then I went back in with that super fine tip water brush and colored in each of the little elements that I wanted colored, either in the Pretty Peacock or in the Garden Green. So just mounted it on that piece of cardstock, and then I've got a piece of ribbon around the back. And I did punch some holes in this end and that end and just tied a knot, just like that. And I left it long so that I could actually tie a bow if I wanted to, but I kind of like it just dangling there. I would just cut them down a little bit shorter if I was going to leave that. But let me show you the postcard that I did on the inside. So I stamped the envelopes, one in each of the patterns in one of the colors that I used, and then this one is done just like on the front, but then I added some of the little details. So this is either, it could be an inside of a card or just a postcard that you put in an envelope and send to somebody. And then I did this one, of course, with the snow. And then on this side, got the flowers with some, what did I use? That pink. Now I'm forgetting what it is. Not the magenta. I've got Gorgeous Scrape and the Melon Mambo. That's what it is. And of course I colored in each of those flowers with that fine tip brush. And then my fall themed one, I used Garden Green and Crushed Curry and Cajun Craze for that one. So you could make this up any way that you wanted, but I loved this sort of multi-seasonal look of doing the postcards and, you know, super quick. So this is just a strip of watercolor paper that's 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches, so it goes side to side. And I just think this would make such a lovely little gift. And it fits in these 4 postcards, 4 envelopes, just so snug and perfect in there. I love it. I don't know about you, but I love it. Now, I'll show you the one I made a few years ago with my club members. We did a fall theme one, so I don't know if any of you guys remember that stamp set. Did anybody hear that lightning? It's lightning and thunder here. I guess you wouldn't hear lightning, you would hear thunder. Anyway, I loved those foliage images, just adore that. So this was the one I made some years ago. Obviously this is retired, but did some different things on the inside. But used some embossing powders for that and sanded it off. And anyway, so much fun, right? And then of course decorated the envelopes. So that's my simplest folio. Super simple. And I'm going to have the dimensions on my website, of course. So let's move to the stepped up folio, the one that's going to be a little bit more complicated, but it will also hold a little bit more thickness. And so you can put more cards in it, and if you want to do full-size cards, it would actually be more practical. So a few weeks ago, I shared some projects made with this beautiful Artistry Blooms designer paper, and I had a set of them. And decided that I needed to make a folio to go with it. So I've stamped this sentiment from the Positive Thoughts stamp set. I stamped the hand-drawn blooms on the designer paper, just like I did with those other projects. That video is on my YouTube channel. And I'll just show you the stamp set so you can spy what I'm talking about. So this one, sending positive thoughts and feel good wishes. And if that was going out as a gift, don't you think that would be wonderful? I think it's like the perfect thing, right? Because you're sending cards that they can then send and send positive thoughts to other people, and you sent a positive thought to them. Anyway, I think it's just a lovely sentiment for this particular purpose. So anyway, and then I've used this image to stamp on the front. So I'm going to make a folio that goes with, that uses these elements, and I'll show you the other cards that I made after I do the folio. So now the other cards were with a variety of the colors of this designer paper. So they came out as like in a rainbow of colors. I made them for my thank you card for this month. So let's move on to this one. So the scoring of this is a little bit more. So along the bottom, which I'm calling this the bottom, I'm going to score at 2 1/4 and 2 1/2. And I'm going to flip it and score it at 1/4 on the end, 5 1/4, 5 3/4, and 10 3/4. And then I'm going to do a little bit of cutting. So for this one, I'm actually going to have a little bit more depth, so gives us a little bit more flexibility. Okay, so on the ends here, that looks like more than 1/4. It is. It's hard to see on this dark color. Just missed it. Do that again. There we go. One line over. Okay, so here's a trick. If you ever do that, now I have an extra score line there. I'm going to go back on the other side and go back ever so lightly over that score line to kind of push it back out the other direction. You guys ever done this? Just to kind of unscore. I just taught you how to unscore. What do you think of that? And I just made that up too. Unscoring. That's the name. My name for it. Unscoring. All right. So I'm going to go back to what I was doing here. Doing a straight cut. And I'm going to actually cut a little wedge. This is going to be sort of like the bottom of it is going to be a bit of a box shape, if you will. So straight cut and then a little bit of a wedge. And then I'm going to cut up from the bottom at a slight angle till I come to where that first score line intersects with this vertical score line. And then I'm going to cut this piece out. So right there. And then I'm just going to trim up to the other score line. And now I'm going to burnish and fold along all my score lines. Got just one more cut to do, and some adhesive is going to be needed for this. Unlike the last one that didn't need any adhesive at all, this will use a little bit. Gotta look at the comments and say hello. Hi, everybody. Oh, it says it's gonna let me wave at Marcia. Hi, Marcia. I wonder if you have to be my friend on Facebook in order for me to be able to wave at you. I don't know. Don't know how that works. If you know the answer to that question, let me know. All right. So now I'm going to put adhesive. I have to do one more cut before I do my adhesive. So this is going to fold up like that. It's what's going to create my pocket. So I'm going to trim. I'm going to do a small little cut up to the score line right there. And I'm just eyeballing this. I'm not being too particular, but I do want it to be below where the pocket will come to. So if that makes any sense. So I want the cut to come below, so it doesn't show above that pocket. Okay, let's get some adhesive on here. And my tear and tape actually is going to probably be too wide. I have another different brand of tear and tape, which I will use for this application. And I'm just going to put a piece on this flap on the inside. Now when I get to the third example of this, this is the third version I've done, I'm going to show you how to, what I like to say, how to fish. I'm going to show you how to customize the size of your folio if you want to make it bigger or smaller. So if you want to adjust how you're going to use it, you will know how to do it. So that's going to come in just a bit. Okay. Now I also need adhesive on these strips as well. I decided to keep those strips because on the first one that I did, I got rid of them, and so I cut off those pieces, and I wanted to keep them so that I'd have sort of a reinforced edge there. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. So I'm actually going to just take those off and fold them in. And that way that edge has a little bit more strength, I guess is the right word. Less likely to get messed up. Oops, don't want me to stay down. Okay. All right, so next I'm going to take off the adhesive on the end piece. Fold these guys in, just like that, and then fold it to create my box-ish shape at the bottom. So there we go. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on here, as I did the same thing on this bottom tab. Or instead of having a raw cut, decided to fold it over to make it sort of a smoother cut. So as you can see, this one is quite a bit more fussy than the first one, which was about as easy as it gets. Okay, so there is my basic shape. Super simple, I think. I will have a graphic of the dimensions and where the cuts are and all that. Don't know why that's not staying down, but I'm going to have to reinforce that with some stronger adhesive apparently. But now this will go on the front, all right, like that, and then I'll wrap some ribbon around it and we'll call it done. So let me show you the cards. These are some of the ones that I made off camera after the live a couple of weeks ago, and they were in so many fun different colors. If you order from me, this is likely the thank you card you'll get if you order from me this month. So now these, I think about 3 of these will fit in here, maybe 4. So there's 4, and that's actually 3 envelopes, but probably can fit 4 if you mix them up like that. So you can see it's a bit fat, so maybe 3 is a little better of a touch. But so there's my semi-finished folio, that version. And then I've got one more to show you. I'm not going to actually make this last one. I'm just going to show you as an example how to make a bigger version that's actually, instead of fitting 3 cards, will fit more like 5 or 6 cards. So this is that version. This is the one that I showed some weeks ago that people asked me to show you how to do. So it's the same basic construction as the one I just showed you. It just has more depth to it. So you see it's quite a bit deeper. And completely different style cards, of course. These were cards that I showed in one of my recent team events. So the folio that I just did was this one right here, and the one that the last one has the wider element in the middle, so it has more depth to it and it can fit more cards. So here's my little lesson in how to make your own and customize it. So this depth right here, the 1/4 inch and that 1/4 inch, has to add up to the width of this middle segment because it's folding over. So you get both of those widths when you fold it, and you get the width right there. So my little formula, if you want to build your own, is you've got to look at the 1/4 inch on the end, the 1/2 inch in the middle because it has to be double, and then you look at the difference. So if you add up 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/2, you're going to get 1. The full width is 11, so you have 10 inches left. So that means these middle panels are 5 inches, and that tells you how you want to score it. So as opposed to this one, the ends were 3/8 inches. So I had to make 3/4 inch be in the center. Now, if you know fractions at all, I'm a fraction girl. 3/8 plus 3/8 is 6/8, and 6/8 reduces to 3/4. So if the 3/8 portion just kind of messes up with your brain, that's how it works. And then if you add those up, 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5. So 11 minus 1.5 is 9.5, and that gives you 4 3/4 on either side. I think I did that right in my head. So anyway, you can size it to be bigger, and if you want to make it even bigger, so say, hope I haven't lost all of you guys at this point. So say you want to make that binding 1 inch instead. So I've got my little guide here, right? So I've got 1 inch. That means the two side pieces have to be 1/2 inch. I need 11 altogether, so that's 1 plus 1 is 2. So 11 minus 2 is 9 inches. So that middle section each has to be 4.5 and 4.5. And again, that tells you how to do your scoring. So it would be, your scoring would be 1/2 plus 4.5 is going to be 5, plus another 1 is 5.5. Excuse me. Plus another 4.5 is going to be 10. And then, oh wait, did I do that right? No, 10.5. No, I don't have that right. There's something wrong there. Okay, it's supposed to be 4.5, so that's 5. Plus, oh, actually, it has to be an inch, so that's what's there. It's inch in the middle, so 6 inches, and then 10.5, and then you get to your 11. So that's how you know what your scoring is. So 1/2, 5 inches, 6 inches, and 10.5, and you have 1/2 on either end. Does that make sense? Hope so. So I'm trying to teach you to fish, so you know how to make one of these, and you can adjust the sizes as you see fit. I will have photographs of each of these little templates. So this is my simple card template with only the one score line at the bottom. And this is the second one I showed with a little bit more depth, so enough for 3 cards and envelopes. And then the last one that fits about 5 cards, maybe even 6 with envelopes. So I hope that was not too mathy and confusing. Now, where did my other folio go? I wanted to show you. So I was messing around with this folio, trying to decide how I wanted to finish it off. And I actually think it's just fine, just like this. Now I've got it tied, and again, I could tie a bow if I wanted to, or just leave it like that. But I thought this might be nice on the front as well. The life is beautiful in the lower left-hand corner. And if you wanted to do this kind of design and make full-size cards and make a fatter folio like the ones I've shown, then you could maybe even do this design as your card front and make folded cards with each one of the lovely patterns in this stamp set. So And that sentiment, Life is Beautiful, comes from this set, which I'm just dying to play with. Life is Beautiful. But all I've done is stamp that one sentiment, but I just love that tree. I don't know about any of you guys, but ran out of time playing, otherwise I might have had a full set of cards with this one. Only so many hours in the day, people. Alrighty. So that's going to do it for my project demonstration. I'm going to turn the camera around, say a quick goodbye and reminders, and then we'll set you on your way. Did you guys hear that thunder again? It's now pouring rain here in Charlotte, North Carolina, or Matthews. Alrighty, so what did you guys think of that? Just comment and let me know. I don't know if all that mathy stuff was just a little bit too much. You never know. I know some people just hate math. I've always sort of liked it in a kind of crazy kind of way. But anyway, yeah, just want to be teaching you guys so you can do it on your own, just for fun. Alrighty, so just a couple reminders. Of course, don't forget about bonus days. Oh, I'm glad you liked it, Sue. And don't forget to sign up and reserve your product shares. You can get them through August 3rd. There's 10 different shares. 8 of them are the product suites in the mini catalog. The other 2 are specialty items, either embellishments or papers, if you will. So I'm doing some different kind of shares this time. And if you are at all curious and you've missed my Facebook Live from 2 weeks ago, I did a bit of a back room tour, if you will, of my production process for my shares, because I was still getting out the annual catalog shares, and I had already set up some of the stuff for the holiday catalog shares. So that was all out. It was kind of fun to show and share. And then I showed everything in the way of products that I'd gotten, every designer paper and all that. So that was 2 weeks ago, the Facebook Live. So you can check that out if you want. And let's see, and I will be back next Thursday, which is July 30th. Can't believe it. It's almost the end of July. Crazy. With another fun project of some sort or other. Who knows what? I will let you know. So thanks so much for joining me tonight, people. And I hope you're doing well, staying healthy and safe. And let me know what you think. Love to respond to your comments and chat a little bit. So have a wonderful evening. Bye, everybody.